Rooming houses are now legal across all of Toronto as of today. Under these new rules, all landlords who lease out a maximum of 6 rooms in multi-tenant households are required to register with the city and obtain a license. For more on this, let's bring in Daniel Anckle, Executive Director of the Cecil Centre. Daniel, it's good to see you. Happy Easter. You are the Executive Director of the Cecil Centre, a centre that opens a lot of the time as a shelter when it gets really cold out. So you do have a good understanding of the housing situation in this city. With that in mind, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, Lindsay, the housing situation in Canada and certainly in large cities like Toronto is complex and requires a really diverse response. So having rooming houses as an option is really important. However, I think in the past, having not been regulated, unscrupulous landlords perhaps have taken advantage of people who are desperate for somewhere to live. So this new regulation is going to be really useful to stop that happening.
Absolutely. And as you said to me in your notes, this has to be regulated properly. So what needs to happen for that to be regulated properly? What would you like to see?
Well, I think I'd like to see that first of all, that rooming houses are kept in a safe way, because I don't even know that many of them would have fire exits and fire inspections and those kinds of things done. So safety is really important. But also, I think it's very important that the folks who really rely on a rooming house aren't gouged, aren't paying too much for them, and that also that is, if it's one tenant per room, there shouldn't be 2 or 3 in a room. So I think the regulations has to manage all of that. And so regular inspections, registering, that sort of thing, and getting a license, I think those are things that are really important, because the license will come with obligations.
Right. And as we heard from Councillor Gord Perks on this issue, he's been saying, rooming houses exist in Toronto, whether they're legal or not. So we might as well regulate them, legalize them, so that we know where these rooming houses are. We know the people that are living there. Can you explain the program that you have at the Cecil Community Centre when it comes to referrals?
Yeah, so we have a program called, it's our Housing and Community Supports program, and within that program, we have an initiative called Breaking Barriers, which supports unhoused individuals to become housing ready, find housing, and then we support them to maintain that housing. And oftentimes, we're challenged at finding spaces for them, depending on what they need. And it's not always individuals, sometimes it's couples or families. And so having rooming houses is an option, but sometimes when you make referrals to rooming houses, they're substandard. That you wouldn't want to refer someone there, and folks are sometimes desperate and they'll take them. And so having this regulation is going to allow us to be more comfortable in making those referrals. Perhaps we'll have landlords who we can trust, and that tenants, potential tenants, can trust as well.
Right, and to make them safer, just before I let you go, because obviously the controversy here is that some people feel that it's a fire hazard, that these rooming houses are not safe, but that's the point of regulating something like this. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And I think what it hopefully will do at the end of the day is it will encourage more property owners to perhaps join the rooming house market, because they see it as a safe, viable option, and that it will provide more options for people who require housing, who don't need support, can live by themselves, but need somewhere that someone on a fixed income can afford.
Okay, Daniel Anckle, Executive Director of the Cecil Community Centre. Really appreciate your time today. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Lindsay.